find something that you love. Find your passion and don't waste time doing something that you don't love, because when you really enjoy something, when you really enjoy it, you're going to work way harder because it won't feel like work. You're going to invest a lot of time into it and you will do really well. The time when you are young, don't underestimate that and don't waste that time. Start early. Sometimes in order to have massive success, you need to be able to take massive risk. You can start the project and then you will always figure out the next steps, but you can't see the road from the beginning, you can't see the end, but once you're willing to take that first step, you can be successful.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just have a favor to ask before we begin. If you've been enjoying these conversations and want more stories that redefine success, please do us a massive favor and hit the subscribe button over on our YouTube channel. It literally takes 2 seconds to do and is completely free. It's a small gesture, but it makes a massive difference for us as it really helps us to grow the show. And with that, let's get into the episode. All right, welcome back to the Quest for Success podcast, and thanks so much for tuning in once again. Today on the show, we're really excited because we're joined by Shital Daftari, who is an entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of S&T Biotech.
I had the privilege of meeting Shital at the Harvard Business School and studied with her for last 3 years, and also I got to meet up with them again at the reunion early this year, a few months ago actually. So Shital, it's lovely to have you on our show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Jam. It was so much fun being with you at Harvard Business School. Great memories created, and I think it's a big honor to be a part of on this podcast. Thank you.
So Shital, for us to begin this conversation, it's all about success. So let's start with the fundamental question, which is, what does success actually mean to you?
Thank you. First of all, I must tell you that you all have started a great podcast, and it is really great to listen to all the episodes. So it's such an honor to be here. For me, in simple words, success means being able to create a life where you can do what you love every single day, and you can be with the people you love, and having the ability to do that. But to go deeper, for me, success is in different buckets. It's not one thing, and there are different types. And you have different buckets, and each one it should be balanced. So success has to be financially. You have to be successful. There's a level of financial success, but then there is also your health. Health is important for you. So health is a successful health. Then your family. Family is very important. So how you are taking care, how close your family is and how you're balancing that. And then there is personal, and then there's community. So all these are different buckets, and you have to, I strive to make sure that all those buckets are kept full, and that we're able to give enough to all those. And that for me is success.
Yeah, wow. So it's a very holistic definition of success. And I jotted down one thing, which I think is a really nice way to summarize it: the ability to do what you love with people you love. And I think that's a really nice, summary of success. But I suppose for us to understand the woman who's sitting in front of us, we need to understand your early life. So I'd like to go back to your childhood and tell us a little bit about your upbringing, and especially how you think your parents have shaped who you become.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I was born in India and raised in Oman, went to college in Bombay, and then moved to America. So I have I have a background of different countries, speak a few languages. And I think one of the things that I had a very simple childhood, but my parents, one of the biggest things they gifted me was they let me think big. They let me, broaden my thoughts. And they taught me integrity and the value of hard work and education, like simple childhood, but very peaceful, and where my mind and I could do whatever I wanted, and we had the ability. We felt that we could do anything is possible.
So, Sheetal, take us a bit more into your details. So, you are the only sibling. Like, you had any other siblings in your family?
Yes, yes. I have a younger brother. So yes, it was a simple childhood. Went so one of the things that shaped me was I went to a college in Bombay, and
Uh-huh.
I was in a boarding school. So being in a boarding school really taught me, it was not very easy. Like, we had to for the first time, like when I was in Oman, I was home. It was a very protected lifestyle, didn't get to go out much. But when I was in boarding school and I lived by myself for 4 years in Bombay, that taught me like the grit, resilience, tenacity. So I became a very strong person. Like I was able to, like it made me very resilient. It was simple things like like traveling in like local buses and trains, get eating whatever is given to you. So those little things, but that made me that I can survive in any situation, and it made me really really tough. So that was one of my earliest defining moments, like being in a boarding school and living by myself on a small budget. And I think that made me a go-getter. It made me the kind of person that I'm going to do whatever I
Yeah.
want in my life, and anything is possible. And I was ready to fight for what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, more than just the independence, how important do you think that international exposure at a young age was? Like getting the two different perspectives.
Yes, absolutely. So, going from Oman into going to Bombay for college was a big change. So I learned a lot. Like it opened up my, very, very, um, very broad-minded, like in a way that I could get along with different people, people from different religions, castes. So it's like we looked for like-mindedness. They didn't have to speak the same language. They didn't have to be
Mm.
like me. So I could accept people for who they are, and I think that is a really important thing. And my friends had various different types of friends. They had different hobbies. They had different, but ultimately what mattered was like that we were good friends. So
Yeah.
getting able to get along with a wide variety of people.
So, I'm a bit curious. Why did you move to Oman in the first place?
So my parents, yes, we were in Oman. I was born in India, and my dad
Yeah.
had a job in Oman for
Oh, okay.
better prospects. So we were settled over there. So I was there in Oman for the most of my childhood until the time I was 25. So,
All
but I
right.
did college in Bombay.
Okay. So, how old are you then when you came to India to study?
I was probably 16, went to college. Yeah, well, I did my college years, like my bachelor's in Bombay.
All right.
So I want to understand what your first taste of entrepreneurship was. Like, where did you realize I am an entrepreneur?
Yes. So when after I was in Bombay, went back to Oman, and then after we got married, my dream was to come to the United States. So me and my husband moved to the US, and we were on a H-1B visa. So when we started, we thought that we will get our green card in 3 years, but it took 10 years to get the green card. And during those years, I felt that I was overworked, underpaid, and I was really frustrated because I couldn't really leave my job or do whatever, pursue any of my passions. So that got me really, really determined to change my life. So that in 2011, the day I got my green card, I decided to quit my job, and that was a huge risk because I didn't make a lot of money. But I
Yeah.
decided to quit my job and start my first business. The first business I started was a company called Saris and Things, which was an e-commerce website to rent Indian clothing. Uh, at that time, that was the only idea I had, and that when I started that business, I was told that who's going to rent Indian clothing? But for me, that was the only idea I had. So I thought that if I don't do this, I'll be stuck at my job forever. So I decided to make that move, and that's when I started my business, and I
And
became an entrepreneur.
where did that confidence come from? Because to be in a new place and just have gotten some level of stability by getting your green card, and then to go, all right, let's throw it all on the line and start my own business? Where did that kind of inner confidence come from?
Yeah, at that time, when I was in that situation where I had no choice, and
Mm.
I really wanted to change my life, and I was, I didn't even know where to apply for a job, so I decided to start my own business,
Yeah, you're sort of
and I had this
desperate.
one idea.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was really desperate to change my life.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I wanted to, like, I used to dream of success. I wanted to do something that I loved, and I wanted to find joy. Like, I didn't want to do anything that I didn't love. I had this idea when around that time my brother had got married, and I was looking for a beautiful outfit to wear to his wedding.
Yeah.
And at that point, I thought, why don't I rent something? And when I looked around, there was no company renting any Indian clothes. And that idea had stuck. This was a few months before I started my business. And that idea stuck to me. And every time I would think of quitting my job, that idea kept coming back that somebody needs to start. Now there are a few companies that rent Indian outfits,
Mhm.
but at that time there was nothing. And that idea kept coming, and I thought that I should do something about this, because if I'm struggling, there has to be other people looking for this, and that's why I thought, let me act upon my idea, and that's how it
Yeah.
all came about.
Yeah. So, Sheetal, take us through that initial stage of starting that business. How did you find more like capital and getting products and how? Just take us through that journey.
Yes, absolutely. So when I started my business, I had didn't have much in savings either. So I started my business with $3,000 from my savings, and I remember very well, like how I had, when I started my business, I had to break down those $3,000 to buy my first inventory. Okay, I'm going to need this much to build a website, and I'm going to need so much money to buy. Like, I literally had to make a list of how many heavy outs outfits and how many
Yeah.
lighter outfits and how many I need to buy. And I had to put some, because it was a rental, I put on everything that I had, my
Yeah.
own, all the outfits that I own, into the business in order to start that business. So it
Yeah.
was a very scary time,
Yeah.
but very exciting as well. So, but once I started the business, and I built my website, and I can remember the joy when I got the first order. At that time, I wasn't dreaming of building a big business or a successful. All I wanted to do was to get by, because
Yeah.
I had quit a low-paying job, and all I wanted to do was that I can make my ends meet, and that's all I wanted. But as soon as I started focusing on my business, I realized how much fun it was. It completely 360 degrees changed my life, and I started enjoying the part of building. I started learning. I learned a lot, and I built, like, Google AdWords, marketing, building a website, selling a lot of things. I learned a lot, and every single day I asked myself, what more can I sell, and who can I sell to? So
Yeah.
from that point, I started adding various new products, and then I discovered e-commerce, and from that time I started selling products on Amazon. I discovered Amazon like 1 year later, because I wanted to see. So the business I started was Indian clothing rental, and I found that this is great, but how can I reach every woman? How can I reach every,
Hmm.
like, how can I grow this? And I started discovering avenues. So at that time, I discovered Amazon, and I started listing products on Amazon. I started with a few of my own branded products. It actually, very surprisingly, I started with sari blouses. That was the only product that I had. But then I started. I've sold every product, swimwear and bags, and so we currently we have 500,000 products on Amazon. But I started selling other brands. Around that time, my cousins had jewelry businesses, and they said, "Oh, you are good at e-commerce. Why don't you sell fine jewelry?" So we started selling gold and diamond jewelry. So we also have gold and diamond jewelry on Amazon. So we became a very, and not just Amazon, we were selling on Amazon, Rakuten, Newegg. There's a lot of other, Walmart. So selling on all the e-commerce marketplaces. That led to to 2020 when the COVID started. So we were at that time, we had my Indian clothing rental business. We had a very successful Amazon business. And then when I saw that COVID started, in China, and I was watching the news, and I was thinking to myself that we have this platform. Why don't, I should have these, because I know it's coming to the United States. So I'd always while I was selling on Amazon, I was always thought to be ahead of the game, like
Yeah.
thinking 6 months ahead, always trying to see what's coming next. Because I always thought that if you're not ahead, you are behind. Like you're losing. Yeah, because your competitors are going to catch up anyway. So you have to be 6 months ahead and what's coming next. So around that time, I was able to be one of the first sellers to list face masks on Amazon. And even when COVID started in the US, I was one of the first Amazon sellers who had even the basic black cloth face masks. It was very challenging to list those on Amazon, even at that time, because the other sellers, in the seller forums, they were saying if you list a mask, you're going to get your account is going to get suspended, you lose your account. It was pretty scary time as well as tricky, but I just kept pushing, and I kept asking my account manager, how am I, if you list a mask, your listing gets taken down, your account gets suspended. And I kept working to find out how am I going to be able to list
Yeah.
that product. And eventually I was told that, okay, you don't use the word virus, you don't use the word mask, you don't
Yeah.
use the word COVID, you don't use the word protection. So there was a strategy to listing the products and not getting the product delisted, and I was successfully able to get that. But once that happened, the orders started flowing in. Even that was a scary time, because in order to get those first few orders and order inventory, I had to replenish every single credit card that we had in
Yeah.
order to fulfill those orders, because the orders kept coming, and there was a balance between should I have product on hand, or should I take the risk of ordering new product. So it was always a balancing act, but I thought that was more important, because you don't know, because there might not be a need the next day. But we had to keep ordering shipments. But after that, we didn't just sell face masks, but we were selling the gloves and all the COVID related hard to get items. So what I focused on was anything that was hard to source. Those were the products that I started focusing on, because anything that was easy, there was already a lot of competition. So the products with the barrier to entry, the ones that did FDA approval, the ones that were really, really challenging to list, those were the products I focused on. And we had we had a massive sales around in those years.
It's very fascinating, right? Are you coming from any business background, or you just discovered yourself into business?
I am not from business background. Yes, my dad did run his store for a short amount of time, and actually had a clothing store in Gujarat before he moved to
Oh, okay.
Muscat, Oman. So it was interesting that they were also. But I had no background, no business background, no business education. But I found that I had a passion for
Yeah.
running a business. I found I have a deep passion for entrepreneurship. I really, really enjoy it. It brings me to life. So we had a very big success on Amazon, and around that time we had laboratories started calling us. And I remember the first time a customer called me, and he said, "We just bought your products on Amazon. Do you sell directly?" So that was the beginning of my B2B
B2B.
sales.
Yeah.
Till that time, I was selling on. This was also in 2020, around a little bit 2 or 3 months in, and they had bought some swabs from us, and they said, "We bought some swabs. Can you sell to us directly? We need this product, and we need a few other products." And I was like, "Sure. What do you need?" And we started asking our customers what they need, and we started selling to labs. Soon we were selling to a lot of laboratories. Became a B2B seller. When I say we, it is me and my husband Ninad, and he's
Yeah.
also my business partner,
Yeah.
as well as our head of operations. So we had to get a warehouse overnight. Like we needed large. First, it was my garage, and then it was my mom's garage, and my entire house was filled with boxes. And like, we can't do this. We need a warehouse. So we ended up getting a very large warehouse, and became a very large supplier to, we felt that in the 2020, 21, 22, we kept all the labs open, and we sold over 50 million COVID test kits and other lab supplies to labs across the country. And I think it was what really worked was that, it wasn't an overnight success. And
Yeah.
when I think about it, I think everything that we had put into place, we had the fulfillment, the business practices that we'd learned, all that came in, and we were able to deliver around that time, and that's why we were able to make that.
And on that point, I want to understand, now that you've been through that incredible scaling journey, what do you think are some of your key takeaways from that rapid scaling that you can share with other people going through a similar sort of journey?
Yeah, so I think when I think one of the things about rapid scaling is when you scale very rapidly like that, you also break a lot of things. But that's another story, but another discussion. But when you scale rapidly, you have to make sure. Basically, one of them is risk. You have to be able to take risk, and I believe that risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Behind every risk there is an opportunity. So people, and some of these are risky, right? Sometimes it's a risk because, let's say I ordered a container of product and then there was no demand after it reached here. So how do you navigate that risk is important. But we have to entrepreneurs need to keep taking those calculated risks. Every risk, you take risk, but it's not a rash. You are calculating it, right? It's a
Yeah.
calculated risk, because you have to weigh it, like, which is the bigger risk. The bigger risk is losing the opportunity when there's
Yeah.
orders and you don't have inventory because you don't want to order it because or is it risky to put the money in and get so you're always balancing the risk. But sometimes, in order to have massive success, you need to be able to take massive risk.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. And just willingness to act at the right time,
Yeah.
because you can't think, you have to act at the right, you have to really take action and make it happen. Another thing is you have to deliver, like, rapid growth also comes with you have to do the right thing. You
Mhm.
can't break the law anywhere. You have to be with on the right, like, you cannot rapid success at the cost of your integrity. It is very
Yeah.
important. Like, you cannot uh, do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
There are times when people have opportunities where you feel like you're not going to get caught, but that always comes back. So you have to be very careful that you are always doing the right thing, and when you have to choose the right thing over profit, always choose the right thing. So
Mhm.
that's very integrity is the most
Yeah. Yeah.
important thing.
And Shital, I know you and your husband Nina start this business together, and then when you're scaling, when did you decide that you need to hire more people or you need help?
Yeah. Yes, we did hire a lot of people, but I must add that this is not my final business. Currently, what we are doing, we have pivoted
Okay.
again,
Yeah.
and we are doing at-home screening solutions when we have started a lab. So I'll talk about that as
Sure.
well.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yes, at that time, we did have to hire a lot of people during the pandemic, and so I think after that, like, hiring, now we've hired a lot of people because now we are doing something totally different,
Yeah.
Jem. So we are
Yeah.
doing at-home screening, lab solutions. So yeah, so I think that
Yeah.
answers your
So
question. I don't know.
yeah. So I mean, when did you really decide that we need extra help? We need to hire more people to very early days. So you had a plan. Or my question, pretty much. I guess these opportunities came your way. As you said, when you're scaling, you have to look at whether I take this opportunity or not. Like, you need to take that risk and to move forward. And seems like you're taking a lot of risk, right? And taking these opportunities forward. And then you realize that two of you can't just do this alone, right? So you need to hire more people.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And who was your first, like, where you thought like you need to hire more people for different skills, or more to help
Absolutely.
you fulfillment in the warehouse?
We had to hire a lot of people
Yeah.
around that time. Yes. So as we were growing, we needed help. We needed help in different departments. We needed help we had to have factory, like, warehouse workers. We had to have drivers. We need to have office staff. So we hired office staff. We also hired, we did have some employees before we
Yeah.
scaled, but we had to hire a lot more people as we also had to hire some managers to watch over those, so that's how we had to scale, because there's no way we could do it by ourselves. Yes, but we used to. Originally, we had the mentality that we could do it all ourselves. But I think in order to scale, you have to hire, otherwise you cannot scale.
Yeah, but the question, I think I probably in a different way. I guess your role has to change, right? Like, initially as an entrepreneur, you just, I mean, you do everything. You wear multiple hats, right? And then suddenly you
Right.
realize, well, this is not gonna work, right? I need more resources and the skills that probably I don't have. Like, is that that was the case for you?
100%, yes. Yes. So at that time, when we did this scaling around that time, around the pandemic, yes, we had a lot of warehouse workers and office admin staff. But now we are doing at-home screening solutions. Like now we are hiring a head of operations, and, we have a VP of sales, health plan sales. So we needed more of those C-suite executives,
Okay.
and then as well as the office and the warehouse help.
Yeah.
And just for our listeners, so they understand the type of scale we're talking about, because I was reading it, I was incredibly shocked. Can you like tell us during that pandemic period, what was the sort of growth that you guys saw?
Yeah, we grew almost 2000%. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. So what happened after that? It's not. So that was a phenomenal growth, which was really good. But it changed. After that growth, that's when I decided that, since I have this growth, how do I keep growing? And that's when I realized that I think this has been a pivotal part of my journey, where how do I become a better leader, and how do I build an even greater business? And that is when I applied to the Harvard OPM program to learn, because I feel that, I've come this far because of hard work, tenacity, uh, but I want to now build a business built on the education and the principles, and the sound knowledge. That's the reason I applied for the OPM program, which I really enjoyed. And one thing I took away is that, now I want to grow a business that can scale with scale and impact, and how can I make a meaningful impact. So I again pivoted. So after, in 2022, I pivoted again. We built out a lab from scratch. So we built out a lab for lab testing. And during the pandemic, I had witnessed that there are a lot of disparities in the health of underserved communities. So I decided to get into we found a space where we do screening for those underserved communities for chronic conditions such as colon cancer, diabetes, and cervical cancer. So we pivoted to, so currently what we do is, with the lab, we partner with health plans nationwide, and we help them screen their populations for these chronic conditions. And most of these are underserved populations such as Medicare and Medicaid populations who have missed their annual screening. So we partner with health plans nationwide, and we are doing screening for them. The reason I got into this is, again, as I said, because of being able to build a very impactful and scalable business, which are mine to, with a purpose, so purposeful driven business.
And was it also in kind of response to, as you mentioned, you're always trying to look 6 months ahead. And when the pandemic was starting to wind down, you're thinking, okay, this business's growth is driven by this extreme growth of the pandemic. What can we do to keep this sustainable long term?
Yes, exactly. So when the pandemic was, when we were in the height of the pandemic, I was thinking that what happens next,
Yeah.
and I was at that was the reason why I started a lab on the side, what is going, like where am I going next, and I already had kind of started thinking about the next step, and as I said, I was seeing all the disparities in the health of these, in different communities, because certain populations are affected more severely. So, like, how can I pivot my business? So, I started a lab from scratch. Originally, the plan was to do lab testing, but as soon as the lab was ready, I got approached by a major health plan for RFP to do test kits. And at that time, I thought they just needed test kits, but then it was basically for a whole solution where they needed to test kits to be mailed to people's homes, as well as doing an outreach and get those kits back and do the lab testing for them and providing the results. So that when I got invited to that RFP, I realized that I was in a unique position to deliver this product. And that's how what we currently, we pivoted our business to it's called at-home screening for gaps in care. So basically what we do is we partner with health plans. We send test kits to their homes. We have an omni-channel outreach, so we have live call centers, and then we also build technology where we send text messaging and outreach to these patients. And we also build like software dashboards, so which is like a whole population management dashboards. So we help the health plans reach their hard to engage populations to do their chronic screenings, and they return their test kits. So that's what we built after the pandemic, and it's very exciting that a lot of health plans love what we have built, and we are partnering with a lot of them. And now we are on to the next big thing, which is at-home screening solutions for gaps in care.
This is amazing, Shital. I mean, this is something you probably never imagine, right? Like when you're selling stuff online and doing this sort of work. How do you I can see your entrepreneurial spirit, right? Like even you probably didn't know much about it. You taken the risk. But how did you manage to source that skills that you didn't have?
Yes, so this was one of our biggest challenges, actually, in business, because we entered the healthcare industry with not much knowledge. Like we didn't have any healthcare background, and it was challenging. But we realized that if you are, if you can get the right people, like for example, when we built a lab, we have a very, very highly experienced lab director, and we have the lab supervisors and the staff at the lab. So we have the whole team at the lab. So we can hire. But I think once you have the strategy and your vision, I think that's the most important thing. And then you can always hire people who are smarter than us, right, in that field. And but it's very exciting, and I think the purpose is what drives it. At the end of the day, why I'm building this and what gets me going every day is that we are saving lives through early detection, because we are detecting for colon cancer, we're detecting cancers every day. We are detecting, diabetes, people who didn't even know that they have it. So that having that purpose, when I feel that I've come to my calling, entrepreneurship was my calling, but now entrepreneurship with a purpose is like,
Yeah.
I feel that we really, really found the calling, that we are being very impactful in the lives of people and their in communities around us, as
Yeah.
well as building a very scalable business. So entrepreneurship and purpose both are coming together, and that's what keeps me going every single day.
And, as you've had to grow this team and with that incredible vision of, trying to help people, what are you trying to do about company culture? Is there like any core things you're trying to implement in your business?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, culture is very, very important. We are trying to get, the people that are on our team are very driven, are very purpose driven, actually, to make a difference, but also willing to do everything that it takes. Very positive outlook. So yes, we are bringing in people who fit that culture. I think willingness to help each other, having a positive outlook, being a team player is very, very important. Sometimes if one person who's not a team player can disrupt the whole. So we're very, very strategic about getting the right people on our team, and as we are building a lot, right, as we're building rapidly, fitting into that culture is very important, and willingness to do everything, because we are a family and we are a fast growing company where things change rapidly. It's very fast paced, so they need to be able to adapt easily and enjoy the ride, and most of all enjoy their ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, coming from a simple upbringing, as you mentioned, did you ever think you would be, EY Entrepreneur of the Year finalist or the winner of the Enterprising Woman of the Year award? Like, did you ever picture you being this and person and reaching these milestones?
No, I had not thought about it. It all started after I became an entrepreneur, and how much I enjoy building a business. That was never the goal to get an award or to even the thought about it, but I truly enjoy building a business, and I truly enjoy embracing challenges. It's a joy. Like, I always pick the most difficult things to do. The projects with the most barrier to entry excite me the most. Anything that's easy, I stay away from. And finding solutions, and find in different, like, nothing is impossible, and I know
Yeah.
that if anyone can do it, I can. Like, I always say that, like, why not, we'll just do it. And where people think like all the whys and the ifs and the buts, but like, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, most of that's the attitude, and I think
Yeah.
most of us entrepreneurs have that attitude, and that's why we are challenging things are exciting, solving problems is exciting, and doing hard things. I love doing hard
Absolutely.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and always being positive, like, really, just enjoying. There's not much negative, and there's not any negative,
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
positive,
You
and
think
attitude.
you think you develop yourself while you're doing this? Like, I mean, you started something you didn't have any idea, right? So, selling stuff on online. Now you're doing a mega, like healthcare, right? It's really a big sector to kind of a touch on. It's competitive and same time it's a very rewarding sector to be in, right? So there's so many lessons that you learn along the way, right?
I learned a lot along the way. I think one of the biggest support is my family, and I have to say that my family. I think the strength comes from the family, and having a very supportive family in my husband, and not only my husband, my parents, in-laws. That that gives you wings, right? That lets you
Yeah.
do anything you want, and able to go all out without having to worry about not other things. So I think that was my biggest, one of my family is my biggest strength, and they're always cheering for me. They're always supporting here and doing, like, willing to pick up, like, where I drop off, like, in terms of house, things at home. So I think that has been is a major strength. Also, I meditate every day, reflecting, taking time for self, and that's important to keep your mind free of stress. That helps, to do more, and to do, to not get stressed out when you're handling all these difficult,
Yeah.
challenging times.
Yeah.
And as someone who's so busy and hectic and working on so many incredible projects, how do you balance and find time for family? Because obviously it's so important to you, but how do you kind of prioritize that time?
Yeah, that finding time for family is easy. It's always there. It's a number one priority. I
Mm.
think the way it's like by not doing anything that doesn't align with my goals, so that frees up a lot of time. Before I was building the business, like for example, I was part of a lot of networks, a lot of groups, and now I still am, but
Yeah.
I'm very strategically choosing things that are important and making the time to do the right things. So by being focused on what really, really matters is taking away the things, it's like, taking out all the things that are not important to find the time for the things that are.
Yeah. When you say
Yeah.
matters, it's aligned to your purpose.
Things that matter are like aligned to my purpose, they're aligned to what is important to me, my family, like those
Mm.
buckets, right? When we talk
Yeah.
about those, the initially the buckets, like your family time is important, but at the same time, the groups that are aligned
Yeah.
with the business, but they're aligned with with basically being with the
Yeah.
right people rather than
Yeah.
just being everywhere, being with the with what brings us
Yeah.
what brings closer to my goals, as well as what
Yeah.
the purpose that I'm looking for, and the
And get the
friendships.
best value of your time as well, right? Like, so you want to make sure that,
Yes, 100%.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Shital, I know journey like this wouldn't happen overnight, right? There's so many challenges, I guess you probably overcome to come to where you are today. Can you share like maybe a one of the biggest challenge that you had faced like over the years?
um I think the challenge is like, we go through them every day, but
Yeah.
it's not really one major challenge, but always, yeah, breaking into, being bootstrapped, breaking. So it's like every day, but I've started, from scratch. So I
Yeah.
have that, bootstrap culture where, we are always making sure that, you're using your funds wisely, you are investing it in, in doing the right thing, making sure that you're uh, because you're managing your finances wisely,
Yeah.
being again mentioning that entering the healthcare, it's a newer field, but we overcame that challenge with doing a lot of learning, being in all these conferences, we educate ourselves on the what our customers are looking for. Initially during the pandemic, we had a challenge where, we were working from home, but then we had to get a warehouse overnight, but we overcame that challenge. And there is challenges every day, which we are overcoming, right? Like how we are building for, currently we have to get, all the data security. So we have to get high trust certified and SOC 2 certified. So every day is a challenge and we are navigating that.
Yeah. Do you think your positivity play a big part of overcoming those challenges?
I think so, because I positivity is the most important thing for any entrepreneur, because
Yeah.
once you can see from a can do attitude, anything is possible. But when you start thinking, because everything is a challenge, and you can always have 100 reasons why things are not possible or you
Mm.
cannot do it. But when you
Mm.
know that you can do it, you're willing to take that extra step, willing to make that effort, and make things
Yeah.
happen. And that's the most important attribute. I have a saying that I always advise to young people, and I say that the hardest part is the first step. Everything else always falls in
Absolutely.
place.
Yeah.
And by that I mean is that if you can start the project, and then you will always figure out the next steps, the hardest things, and step by step you'll see the way and the road, you'll see the vision, but you can't see the road from the beginning, you
Nah.
can't see the end. But once you're willing to take that first step, uh, you can be successful. So a lot of my journey, I've always been willing to take that first step, put in that first effort, and willing to learn what's next and figure it out.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I always tell that to Dylan as well. You know, you can have great ideas, but ideas cheap unless you actually go and start and doing it, right? And then you learn all along the way. And you are a great example
You learn all the
for
way.
that.
And you can learn along the way. You can find people who can help you along the way. But the hardest part is to start, because the
Yeah,
idea is nothing as long as it's in the mind.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to implement.
So, Shita, what happened to your initial business? Like, are you still doing B2C online stores, like selling jewelries and stuff?
So we are doing the at-home screening, but my original businesses are still there, as though I
Okay.
don't focus on them as much, and I have great teams managing those parts of my business. I do still have own saris and things, which is
Oh,
the
really? Wow.
Indian clothing rental business. I still have the Amazon business, and we have the lab supplies business, as well as the at-home screening solution business. The first three, like the original, the e-commerce is managed by really, really competent teams that are handling it. I do little oversight, but I do, watch it. And right now, my entire focus is in building the at-home screening solutions, because I'm envisioning building a solution where we are one of the main go-to partners for health plans for their chronic condition management. We also have an exciting partnership with BD, which is the one of the largest med device manufacturers, where we are going to be launching at-home cervical cancer screening,
Wow.
and we plan to go nationwide with that next year. So it's a very, very exciting time for us. Again, that brings me closer to my mission of saving lives of people worldwide through early detection. So it's very
That's
exciting.
amazing.
And Sheetal, are there any, now that you've gone through what is an incredible journey, are there any lessons or values that you're trying to impart to the next generation, to your children?
Yeah, one of the things that I would love to impart to the young people is that the time when you are young, don't underestimate that, and don't waste that time. That you can do great things, and start early, which is something that I couldn't do,
Yeah.
because we had to go through the immigration journey and get in the United States. But when you start early, you can achieve a lot, and so that's one thing. Like, really work hard in your early years. And the other thing I would love to impart to young generation is find something that you love. Find your passion, and don't waste time doing something that you don't love, because when you really enjoy something, when you really enjoy it, you're going to work way harder, because it won't feel like work. Then you're going to work harder, you're going to invest a lot of time into it, and you will do really well. And the third one, don't be afraid to take risks. Keep taking
Mhm.
calculated risks in life, because that's what differentiates between those opportunities that come in.
Mhm.
Yep. So that's
Yeah, that's
that's
great
what I would like
advice.
to.
Great advice. I mean,
Thank you.
very very similar, right? Like when you're an entrepreneur, I mean, we're going through a similar kind of a journey. Shita, like as an entrepreneur, do you wake up with new ideas every day, or you see a lot of opportunities that you see you can solve problems?
100%. Yes. That is my biggest problem, actually. I
Exactly.
have
So
way too many ideas. Every day I want to start a new business, but I have a great balancing partner. My husband, Ninad,
yeah,
who's my business partner, he's very level headed. Every day I come up with 10 new business projects, and he levels out, and he's the operations person. So he will like tell me, he maintains a book of my ideas, actually. And, like one day, like he doesn't discard them, but like
yeah,
not now, honey.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But I'm being very focused, because one of the things I have learned in my journey is that it's great to have ideas and great to start, but you
Mm,
really do need to go deep in what you want to, and you need to focus. So be focusing on one thing, and you can be really, really good at one thing for your customers, or be really good, rather than diversifying so much. So it's very important to go deep and focus on one thing. So that's what I've been working on, and of course offering solutions and being the best at what we do.
yeah. So it's good to have a sounding board, so you know you can share your ideas and yes or no, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that's my biggest strength, and Ninad is my biggest strength.
Yeah.
He's my sounding board, and we're always brainstorming. I think one of the things that has helped us a lot in our journey, in mine and Ninad's, I'll talk about Ninad a little bit. In our journey, is that we are very different. I come up with new ideas every day, and I want to start. I'm a fire starter. I'm always starting new projects. But he's very level-headed, and he's the operations person, and he can actually make things happen, and he executes by the manages all the operational aspects of it. So it's a
Yeah.
great balance that we have together.
And how do you manage being partners in business and then also partners in life?
Well, it works out. I don't have a work-life balance, and but we enjoy the journey. And one of the exciting parts is that he's also OPM. So now
Yep.
we enjoy. We've got a worldwide network of friends, like times two,
Yeah.
times two. You
Yeah.
know, and we really enjoy working together. And I think both of us are very aligned, and it's great to have, on a serious note, it's great to have a person from your family into your business, because like you can't trust anyone more than
Yeah.
a person from your family, and you know that he's got the best interest. And
Mm.
we disagree a lot of times, but we know that we're coming from the same place, that we both want the best for the company, but we have a different idea. So we have to get through
Yeah.
those ideas, and guess who always wins? But
Yeah, I mean, knowing
yeah.
Ninad, I had the chance to meet up with Ninad and get to know him, and you guys work really, really well. It's just synced together quite well. So
Yeah.
I can see even a tough decisions. You probably go, "What's going on?" And Ninad's very calm down and like very calm, and probably vice versa, right? Like you work very, very well balanced team. So that's
We
a
yeah,
yeah.
we are opposite, but we can kind of balance each other out, because he has qualities that are I don't have, and I have qualities that he doesn't. So we make a whole, like, we really, I think
Yeah.
it really works.
So do you think like having a partner understand you and work with you, it's such an important thing, right? Like for business, like yeah. I mean, you agree, right?
I think so. It depends, but you have to have alignment, because and I know that a lot of people cannot work with their spouse, and it's
Yeah.
possible, because you don't want to bring home the stress and the. But when it works, it really works. It works really, really great.
Yeah.
And having a partner is great, to have a partner that brainstorms. But again, it comes down to alignment, because if it's it doesn't work, it
Yeah.
can be difficult as well. So
Yeah.
it all depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And Shital, I suppose, what's next for you? What's the broader plan?
Yes, so the broader plan is to be $1 billion enterprise that does
Amazing.
screening, nationwide screening for partner for health plans, and to help them reach as many underserved populations as possible, and to launch more testings that can be done at home, like screenings from home, and basically making a really, really meaningful impact on lives of people. Yeah, that's the goal.
Yeah. And how do you want to be remembered, Shital? What would be your legacy?
Yeah, so the legacy, would love to, build, as I said, build this business, and to be known for, to be a role model, as a an immigrant who started from
Yeah.
scratch and built a really successful business. So on a personal level, that's my goal. But at the same time, build have a legacy for building an impactful business that can improve health outcomes of millions of people.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I love
I
that.
mean, you're probably doing it already. I'm sure there's many young women, young girls look up to someone like you. Get inspiration from you. So you're already there.
Yeah, I want like, yeah, especially for women, and like, if I could do it, everyone can. And I just want my journey to inspire other women, but not just women,
Yeah.
men
Yep,
and women,
absolutely. Why not?
immigrants,
Yeah.
who can dream big. I want people to know that, you should dream big because anything is possible.
Yep.
100%. Well, I can assure you, you already you've definitely got one supporter because you're definitely an inspiration. Shital, I suppose looking back on this incredible journey, and given your definition of success was the ability to do what you love with the people you love, do you feel successful?
I feel so, yes. And I definitely feel that I'm successful because I feel that every single day I wake up with joy and excitement. And I have found my purpose, and I really enjoy building a business. And I do work hard, yes, but I enjoy every minute of it. So, and I really feel that it's important to find something that you love. A lot of times people say, I don't know what my passion is, I don't know how to find what I love. And what I tell them is that if you don't know, first of all, stop doing things that you don't enjoy. And sometimes you hate your job, sometimes you hate what you're doing, and it's very difficult to leave the whole thing and step out of it. But when you have that, maybe you can start with taking out chunks of your life that you don't enjoy, right? So let's say there's like four tasks that you're doing, but one of them you take that one and delegate that to somebody else. So when you make that space in your life, then to leave it, by taking out the things that you don't enjoy or the people you don't like working with, you will invite the positive things in, and then eventually, slowly, you can transfer that into a meaningful life, that is enriched by things you love.
That's fantastic advice, Sheetal.
So,
I suppose looking back on this journey, I've tried to, it's been such a fascinating conversation and definitely learned so much. But I've tried to jot down what I think are some of the core traits which you embody, which have led to your success. And honestly, this is probably the most I've written down. So I'm just going to pull out the key ones because there's just so many insights from today's discussion. The first one, I think, is you're a risk taker, and you have such strong risk appetite. And you said something in there which I really loved, which is risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin. And I think that's a really a really profound phrase because it's absolutely true. And I think taking those risks has really led to the opportunities that have led you to where you are today. The next one is your resilience. Whether it's from coming to America, having to wait 10 years to grind it out at a job you didn't enjoy just to get your green card, to only having 3K to invest in your first business, to all these constant hurdles that you had to jump over, but you had that resilience to just stick with it and know that great things take time, and that's definitely led to the success that you have today. The next one is drive. And I think it's like from like talking to you, you always have this hunger to do more, and what else can I achieve? What can I do to have more impact? And I think that's led you from, e-commerce to slowly to what is your purpose now, which is trying to help as many people as you can in the healthcare space. And then the last one is being a forward thinker. And I think that's really important. And we've seen it a lot in our conversations, is people who are preparing for the future and are not building for today, but are building for 6 months, 12 months time, because they know that by the time they're ready, the opportunity will be there. And I think that's, especially in today's day and age with, AI and technology moving so fast, I think that's a really incredible trait to have because you are building for tomorrow.
Yeah, and just to add to what Dylan mentioned, Shital, I felt like I sort of had the opportunity to know more about you quite a lot, like in this discussion, and I knew you're a die-hard, hardcore entrepreneur, but I didn't really know your journey. So this is a great opportunity for me to really understand. And one thing for sure, doesn't matter which what comes your way, your positive attitude really, really helped you to get to where you are today. You know, as you said, taking risks, any opportunities, you know, you have that can-do attitude and a beautiful smile. Doesn't matter how big the challenge, you with that smile and you taking those opportunities and seeing the opportunities more than the risk. And that's where I think you came this far and you done amazing things. And you really inspired us today. And thank you for joining us and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much, both of you. And I think, thank you, Dylan. You summed it up really well. And Jam, it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. Thank you.
And Shital, we'll put a link to your LinkedIn so people can reach out to you if they want to connect. And I suppose with that, we'll wrap up there. And if people have taken something out of today's episode, it would mean the world if you can like and subscribe. Helps us to grow the show and get to more and more ears. And you can see all of our inspirational content over on our website, thequestforsuccesspodcast.com. And with that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.